My name is Glenn Smart. I've been an Australian seafarer for 20 years and I'm a member of the Maritime Union of Australia.
My name's Brett Baker. I've been at sea for 41 years as a member of the Maritime Union of Australia.
My name's Matthew Richardson and I've been an Aussie seafarer for the last 9 years and I'm a member of the MUA.
My name's James Hogg. I've been an Aussie seafarer for 8.5 years and I'm a member of the Australian Maritime Union.
It's with all the major developed countries and they're supposed to have oil reserves. Australia hasn't got it just because it's going to cost too much in infrastructure. So the oil companies say they're fine, but we know, we've just come back from Singapore not long ago, you know, the standards over there and contamination of fuel and, you know, well, there's terrorism these days and even a major accident at an oil refinery in Singapore has a flow-on effect to Australia. You know, and if there's no fuel, the mines aren't working, the farms aren't working, the trucks aren't getting your produce to the supermarkets. And it's not just so you're not driving your car, but it's everything else that's associated with it. And you can bring a country to its knees in a week, just like that, without even starting a war.
It should never be to that stage at all. And by shutting all these refineries, that's what's happening. And we're going to be restricted to bringing cheap fuel. It's cheap because it's made in Singapore or India into Australia, right? Now, all you've got to do is have a problem up in Malacca Straits or over through Indonesia there and block a tanker off and one from India. That shuts Australia down. We don't get any fuel for Navy, Army, hospitals, anything. It all shuts down. Supermarkets, the whole lot. It cripples Australia. We are at the mercy of anybody.
More profit that can be made, then clearly that's better for the shareholders. With that profit, we know that making fuel cheaper, paying cheaper crews, that's not going to make any difference at the bowser. That's purely for the shareholders. We have that, I suppose, that attachment to the environment, where it's our environment, we want to look after the environment. But I suppose the other part of it is we are trained to the point where we can identify hazards, I think, before they happen. And I'm not so sure that cheap slave labour is that well trained. I think that's a very important part because obviously if there was legislation in place that forced them to use Australian crews, then they would be. And clearly they're getting around that using foreign vessels because they can.
We've already seen ships come through without pilots, and that you know, there was one recently. So coming through the Barrier Reef without a pilot, so you know it's going to just end up destroying the reef. You know, plus you know, if like especially a cargo ship, an oil tanker like this, a lot of them are rusty and have had a lot of defects and whatnot. And you know, what's to say a major leak won't happen in the reef? You know.
We see it out there when you're on watch, like other vessels, there's laws on how you pass ships and how far you are and who should give way, and they don't do it. We end up just moving and always, you know, we just keep a clear track. We search out wide of them. So not long ago we were coming down from Gladstone off Fraser Island and the mate had to yell up to another ship and say, you're in really close, there's shallow water ahead. But they are in 2 miles closer than they should have been. If the duty mate wasn't watching and realised where they were, you know, there could have been anything happen. But also there's, it's like garbage, you know, there's laws, there's MARPOL. When we come into ports and we're an Australian vessel, or Australian crewed, and we generate 3 or 4 massive skips per 10, 12 days, and we crush our plastic rubbish, we burn our cardboard and paper and rags. So we don't they come here and they've been on an 18-day run and they've got no bins for quarantine.
Whenever we come into an Australian port, we'll speak to the people ashore and we ask them questions about the foreign seafarers, and one thing that always comes up is that they don't have any garbage when they get there. Every port we go to, we'll dump probably about 4 cubic metres of waste, but they never have anything. So the question is, where does their waste go? It's obviously, it's not in the bins here, so it's on the Barrier Reef somewhere.
Everyone is abandoning that ship, is that what you understand?
Yes, that is their intentions. I've read Sky, they're going to abandon ship and come on board. Recently he's injured, we can get him on board as well. We'll get the boys down on deck to yell out, see if they can switch that e-turbo.
There was 3 other vessels closer than the Loyalty, but they called the Mayday out and were asking for help. And the foreign ships, well, their English is not that good. English is supposed to, it's the #1 language of all ships. That's worldwide, everybody's supposed to speak English. But it's very rough English. And one of them's just going, okay, do you understand our situation? We're taking on water. We need help. And they're going, okay. And I know from the boys, they said when they got them on board, the 4 people off the yacht, the 4 crew members, they said when they heard over the radio an Australian voice, they've never been so happy in all their life. And we said we're on their way. And they were on board for 3 or 4 days, I think they said, and they were just so grateful, and we said, in another 12 months, we wouldn't be there. And, who knows what would happen. So that's a sad thing. There's people out there in need of help and they don't understand.
It's only because they're well trained and they're right onto it and they know what they're doing. They're professionalism. If there's a problem in that, we fix it straight away. We get it done and it's fixed. With the foreign ones, they just patch it up, keep it going, patch it up, keep it going. That's the problem they got,
With firefighting drills, that's, they're very regimented, very, very strict on when they have to be done, how often they have to be done, and they're clearly on these vessels 100%, we stick to that.
Man overboard, lifeboat, fast rescue, fire drills. Yeah, it seems like it's happening every day, but yeah, it's always full on. And
we'd probably do at least a drill every week, whether that be a fire drill, a SOPAP drill, and that's what makes us so safe, because we know the job inside out.
There's several things that we've modified for safety, and they've been taken now and put on the other virtue class. They all come from Australian seamen, designing things, make the job easier and more safer. And they use those and run with them. You don't get much thanks for that, especially from BP.
The turnover that it makes is just unbelievable. We're in the 2nd highest scoring ship in the BP fleet, and I mean, on merit, the ship talks for itself, and why you would want to get rid of a professional ship, well, professional people doing a great job is beyond me.
They want more profit, they want more money, they don't care about what foreign ships they bring down. I don't think they care about our environment. It's just all profit, they just don't give a about us,
Well, this has proved itself over and over again, this tanker. It's on the run all the time, there's no hold-ups, there's no maintenance problems, it's on the go all the time. And that's why it's moving that cargo. We're in and out of port all the time, flat out. Why take something away that's working perfect? It would be good if we could take the crew, if the vessel goes, the crew goes to another tanker, which we'd bring up to scratch again and keep it on another run, the east-west run. Absolutely perfect. It's BP that have got the issues there.
As far as we're concerned, the solution is simple. There's 900,000 tonne of cargo being shipped from the west coast to the east coast, and that's where this ship should go, or at least this crew and a replacement vessel, and that saves the jobs and it protects Australia's fuel security.